And now,
introducing the one, the only.
Now let me introduce to you
lively talk with successful people, barely filtered. This is the Jenna Ben Show.
All right. Thank you so much for tuning in to the Jenna Ben Show, guys. Welcome to my 100th episode reunion. Let's just start with general introductions over here. We got Josh Emmett. How you doing, Josh?
I'm doing good. Thanks for having me on. What's up, guys?
So glad to see you.
What up, Josh?
Yeah. What up? Uriah Hall is in the house. Neil Magny, what's going on?
All right, I gotta hold the other way.
Everything's good. Mike Chiesa.
I messed that up.
What's up?
Big Mike.
What it do,
Geoff
bro?
Neal.
Shut up, Blue.
You're my
Sorry,
boy, Blue.
My dogs are probably going to bark a shit ton, so fuck.
Wrangling this bunch is going to be quite a feat for me, but welcome, you guys. I'm so glad to see all of your faces. I literally handpicked every single one of you. You were all my first choices, and I'm really glad that I get to celebrate my 100th show. This is my second year doing the show. It airs once a week. And let's just plunge right in. So I want to know who's actually friends here. I know that Uriah and Geoff trained together, so y'all are buds, but who else?
Mm-hmm. I like Emmett.
First of all, who's your first pick?
You better calm down, son.
Oh, it's a bunch of ranked fighters, and so now he wants you to rank your guests. So
rank your picks, buddy.
No chance.
That's on the Instagram feed. I know I'm coming in last.
She announced Josh first, so I'm guessing he's first.
No,
it's
definitely
second. Sloppy second.
Oh my God, you guys suck. I love all of you. All right, so who's really friends though, aside from Geoff and Neil and Uriah?
Jeff and Neil.
Jeff and Neil and Uriah.
You mean Geoff Neal?
Yeah, that was kind of confusing. I think taking it this, I think the only person, actually I know the only person in this group that doesn't like me is Geoff Neal. So I'd say I'm friends with everybody.
Oh my God.
Geoff Neal.
I like you,
I know
Mike.
He doesn't like me.
I like you. I just like talking shit.
I'm all about it, brother. Hey, I respect the skills. You're a hell of a fighter, man. I'm excited to see your main event on the 19th, brother.
Yeah, I appreciate it, man. You just make it easy to talk shit when you don't say nothing back. So
I know. I'm like, I made a commitment. You got to understand. I made a commitment when I told people I'm done talking shit. Like, I went 0-2 in fights. I talked shit. So I'm like, I just have to sit there and let you guys just torch me. I think I responded one time with like an animated picture, and you're like, what the fuck does that even mean? I'm like,
yeah.
That's all I'm going to say. That's all I'm going to say.
Three of my guests are ranked welterweights. We've got Geoff Neal, Neil Magny, and Mike Chiesa. But you guys seem to be getting along. So, it was important for me to have each of you on. And one thing that I really appreciate about you guys is that you're all good people. And what was interesting to me before we kicked this thing off, Neil Magny came on the show, and I remember asking him, who do you want to fight next? And he's like, well, Chiesa wants it with me, so I guess let's go. And then I had Chiesa on the show, and I was like, what's the beef? Like, what's your deal with Neil? And he's like, oh my God, I don't have beef. He's like, I think I sent a drunk tweet one night, and I don't mean it, and he's great. And so then I sent the audio clip.
Why I don't talk shit. This is why I do not talk shit.
So I sent the audio clip to Neil, and I'm like, look, there's no beef. And then Neil's like, oh my God, that's so nice. And then I sent Neil's message to Mike, and now they're cool, right?
Yeah, it's a sport. At the end of the day, me and Neil, we've had good interactions, man. We went out after Ultimate Fighter 16 when he was on Tough. We've always had good interactions. At the end of the day, it's a sport. You know what I mean? It's whatever.
Yeah.
And I like your vanity. You have the best lighting out of everybody, Neil. I gotta say.
Yes, seriously, man. You got that white.
Bro.
You got that white. It's like brown. What the damn? Him and Josh, man.
Yeah.
I'm almost jealous. I have a full studio set up, and Neil's lighting is still better than mine.
I'm fighting for light over here. Look at this.
Bro, I was just as smart as you. The reason
Black problems.
We had a Zoom meeting earlier today, and literally all you can see was my eyes and teeth. So I was like, I gotta do something better than this.
Bro.
And I just went to my wife's room, and like mine wasn't cutting it.
All right, guys. So I'm gonna kick it off with Mike Chiesa. We're going to recap your year a little bit about Mike. So 32 years old, currently number 8 in the UFC's welterweight division, fighting out of Spokane, Washington, with a record of 17-4. You're currently running on a 3-fight win streak, and you're ranked number 10 on the UFC submissions win list with a total of 6 submission wins. Your last fight was in January of this year, and you've landed yourself a pretty fancy UFC analyst position, working with the best of them. So how are you feeling about 2020, Mike?
Yeah, it was a kind of a crummy year for everybody. I got the big win against RDA. The plan was to kind of have the same schedule, fight in July, fight at the end of December, and I was going to have a minor surgery in March, and then the pandemic hits, and life just kind of got put on hold, and the surgery went shitty. So that kind of sat me out until 2021. So, but all in all, the one light at the end of the tunnel was the whole, the analyst job. It's something cool to keep me. I'm always paying attention to the sport, just from a passion standpoint and from a professional standpoint, but it's cool to be able to follow everybody's careers and kind of dive in. And it's like every single guy on this Zoom call, it's like I have notes in my phone of like just different things, you know what I mean, that I wouldn't look at as a fighter, that I look at now as somebody to just try to tell a story of the fight. So it's been a good year, but I'm ready for this year to pass. I'm ready for 2021.
Yeah. Okay. How did you land that job, by the way? Because there are so many fighters I talk to who are like, oh, that's the next step for me. How did you get it?
I think I actually did a few post-fight interviews, like in the octagon, where I was like, yo, who do I talk to commentate? I really think I did after like the Mitch Clark fight. I was like, yo, what do I got to do to get it? Actually, Daniel Cormier kind of helped me out with it. He sat me down at a dinner next to the guy that's in charge of all the hiring for that. And I just kind of grilled him and was like, yo, you got to give me a job. And he's like, yo, you got to cut your mullet. And I was like, all right, well, shake on it. So I sold out, man. I'm a sellout, dude. I sold out. I was 0-2 with the mullet and 0-2 in talking trash. So both of those.
Wasn't working.
Good, bro.
All right. So, did you have any fights scheduled this year that got canceled?
Me? No, I had to have surgery in mid-July, and it put me out for a long time. So it was supposed to be in March, and then with all the elective surgeries getting postponed because of COVID, it just pushed me way out there. I actually was supposed to not have it till September, and luckily somebody dropped out and went out of the country and had an orthopedic surgery on their knee. So I just jumped in their spot and was able to get it done in July.
Nice. Okay.
Yeah,
now, do you have your sights on anyone once you're able to, and I realize you got 2 of the best in your division. Look at Neal.
Listen a little bit closer so you guys.
I'm not inclined to say, but let's just say I'm fighting in 2021.
Okay. All right. Give us highs and lows of 2020.
I would say for me, the low was it was definitely you know what I mean? It was supposed to be a half-hour surgery, turned out to be like 6. It fucked me up. I really kind of I'm in the prime of my career. So just any month you lose, it's just like a month you'll never get back. So that was pretty hard. But the good thing about it is, I'm flourishing in my engagement. You know what I mean? We got engaged in February, and a lot of people were saying how much they want to strangle their significant others because you're just trapped in the house with them. And I haven't had that problem. So I'd say my relationship is probably the best thing to come out of 2020.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. I dig it. So given Mikey's, I can't call him Mikey apparently.
Mikey,
you call me Mikey. It's fine.
Call me Yuri.
Given Mikey's analyst's new job, Mike's going to help me recap each of your year, guys. So next up, we have Neal Magny. Mike, lead us into Neal's career for the last year.
Oh, damn.
Well, you ranked number 9 in the welterweight division. He loves long walks on the beach. And, he's recently adopted the nickname the Haitian Sensation, which I love. He's fighting out of Colorado. He's a Team Elevation, Easton Muay Thai guy. Trains with a lot of good guys. Curtis Blades, Corey Sandhagen. I mean, the stable there is thick, and you get the occasional appearance of Justin Gaethje and his guys. So a 3-fight win streak. Last win, unanimous decision against Robbie Lawler, and he's ranked number 3 in the UFC's most decision wins list. And if I'm not mistaken, you are second behind George St. Pierre as the all-time welterweight wins leader. Am I correct?
Oh yeah, right on track.
And you've had a heck of a year. It came surging in the last big win against Robbie Lawler. That's kind of the signature win that every guy looks for. How's life been since then?
Man, it's been pretty good. I mean, like most people have been saying 2020 has been a bummer year. It's been a crappy year, but 2020 has been great for me. I mean, the year that most people are having in 2020 so far was my 2019. Sitting on the sidelines, one disaster after the other. That's kind of how my 2019 played out. But 2020 for me has been a great year. I mean, I was able to welcome my son early on in January of 2020. And life has been getting better and better since then. I mean, like I said, I'm in a 3-fight win streak this year. I'm in a best shape of my life, best part of my career so far. So I'm in good position this year so far.
And I got to ask you, and I'm sorry, Jen, I'm not trying to take your job, but I got to ask you about the Hamzat fallout because everybody knew you were pegged to be the replacement. Now, was there ever any talks about you possibly taking that fight, or was it just the second the news broke, was it like, hey, don't even think about it, we're moving this fight?
Yeah, I mean, it's one of those things. I'm not sure how much I'm allowed to say or not say, but there was some talks about me potentially being an alternate for that fight because there was some worries that things may fall through or may not come through, whatever it may be. But also with that being said, in the back of my mind, whether it's offered or not, I mean, just because of the way this year has been going, I'd be an idiot not to be ready to take something short notice. I mean, this year for a lot of people is a year of opportunity. And the way that things have gone, I mean, I think the last 3 main events have all changed the week of for the UFC over the last couple of weeks. So for me to sit around and not be ready and just get complacent or kind of put 2020 off and look for a in 2021, I would potentially lose out on an opportunity that I wasn't willing to do. So whether or not they offered to me or not to make it official, I was in a mindset that, like, not necessarily wishing someone would get injured, but understanding that that's a possibility, that I can actually step in last minute, just kind of keep this ball rolling.
Nice. I'll let you take the floor, Jenna.
You tried to step in last minute several times, you know. Even recently, now that this Edwards fight fell through because of COVID, you know, I remember seeing that it was like 8 minutes fresh on ESPN MMA, and I'm like, Neal. Have you heard back from anybody recently within the last day?
No, nothing much. I mean, I reached out to my manager and see if there's anything he can do to kind of get the ball rolling or get some concrete answers, but it's kind of just been all up in the air. I mean, one of the difficult things about the whole comes out situation is just like you just don't know where to go and how to actually view the situation. I mean, one minute you have Dana White saying that this guy is the most difficult guy to book, and he says the only person who's going to fight him is me, and then I for sure thought I'm going to get that fight, and then I see the very next day someone else gets it. So I'm just like, well, what's going on here? What's it going to take to get a fight against this guy? I mean, you guys are saying he's the next best thing. I'm not afraid of getting there with a guy like that. I have nothing to lose, everything to gain. So why not put it on the line? But I just don't know where it all ends, what makes sense at the end of the day with the whole comes out situation.
That's him being a promoter. He's the hardest guy to book. Yeah. The best talent I've seen since Conor McGregor.
Yeah, right.
Does anyone else have any thoughts about the situation, the politics involved?
With the fight game?
With the fact that Neal can't seem to get this fight when he's the only one that's like, hello, I'm right here.
I mean, do we need to state the obvious? It's like, it's bullshit, man. It's picky and choosy, all right? Pick me. No, you're too well good. No, you look too good. Oh, he talked shit. Let's get him.
Right.
Fucking, it's trash, man. It's trash. It's business, but it's trash.
I think it's more if they want to really fast track Hamzat. It's like you're a difficult matchup for him. Anybody at 170 pounds can be a tough matchup for the guy within the top 15. But it's like you may as well put him in against the highest ranked guy possible, because then if he loses, then it's not going to be, you know, they're going to play off the numbers, and then by numbers I mean the rankings.
For sure. I mean, I get it 100%, but just kind of like, at what point is it fair across the board? Like, I mean, me personally, if I were to get offered a fight tomorrow against Leon Edwards, I'd take it without thinking twice about it. But my personal beliefs is that he's done enough to fight for a title at this point. So, like, it just makes it confusing as far as, like, as a fighter, what do you work towards or what do you look for in order to get yourself in that position to fight for a title? Because for the longest part, it's like, all right, let me work my way from number 15 to number 1, and I get my title shot that way. And you look at the guy, Leon Edwards, and it's just like, well, fuck, if winning 8 fights in a row is not going to do it, what else do I need to do in order to get that title shot? And it makes it super frustrating.
Yeah.
I say talk some shit. And if that doesn't work, make a statement. Make a statement by like Josh does it good, man. The dude barely says word, but he fucks motherfuckers up. And he goes out
right?
there. So learn from Josh, man. Just fuck motherfuckers up and let your
working
fist talk
for me though, so you can't follow my footsteps. Don't do that.
Hey, I wanted you to get the Hamzat fight because I was going to say, he gets the Hamzat fight. I'm like, hey, dude, Leon Edwards is the only guy that's not booked right now. Fucking, I'll take the Edwards fight. There we go. I was like, I hope Magny gets the Hamzat fight. Come on, give him the Hamzat fight. Then I could jump on Leon. I was looking at that number 3 spot like, ooh, it's right there. Right there.
Okay, so Neal, which win of your 3 meant the most to you this year?
Honestly, the biggest one for me was the first one back in March against Jingalang. I mean, like I said, 2019 was just a shitty year for me. I mean, I went through everything every worst thing you could possibly imagine a person can go through in 2019, and for me to just be able to like put that behind me and come out and shine like I did it against the Jingalang fight, for me that was pretty. That was the fight that got the hot dice rolling. That was the fight that got me back on track and kind of got me remotivated and heading in the right direction.
Okay. And you had several fights scheduled and then canceled this year, right? Or no?
Yeah, no. I mean, it's just one of those crazy things like where like, so for people that don't know, when you get a UFC fight, there's the call that you get like, hey man, this fight's set, but don't say anything yet. We need to release it. So there's kind of a hesitation where you're able to say what's official, what's not official. So I had plenty of fights come through where just like, oh shit, I'm about to fight this guy. But yet the situations happen, things fall through, things change up last minute, and they never come through all the way. But that's just the fight game. That's the way things go right now.
Okay. Give us your highs and lows of 2020.
Just like literally 2020, the only complaint I have is like, I almost feel bad saying it because it's been such a difficult year for a lot of people, that for me to just come up here and say like this entitled thing, like, oh man, I didn't get to fight 4 times in 2020. Boo-hoo, poor me. It almost feels like an insult for everybody else. I mean, I literally have no complaints for how 2020 went. I mean, of course, there's always room to improve. There's always like room to strive a little bit more. But overall, 2020 did nothing but blessings for me. I mean, like I said, it started with the birth of my son back in January, and it's been nothing but great news ever since then.
I love it. So positive, and I'm really happy for you. You're a good man, and you deserve all the blessings.
I appreciate it.
All right, Mikey, kick us off into Geoff Neal.
Jeff, hands of stone, steel. Or hands of steel.
Oh, God damn.
God damn it.
Oh, man.
I fucked that up.
Here we go.
I know, I kicked that off wrong. Pause.
It's okay.
Geoff Neal, hands of steel, ranked 11th at welterweight, coming off the first season of Contender Series, training out of Fortis MMA in Dallas, Texas, alongside Uriah Hall, Alonzo Menefield, Alex Morano. You guys have quite the stable. You guys have been rolling. Your coach, Saif, how do you say it? Saif, right? Saif.
Just Saif. It's just spelled differently. Saif.
Coach Saif up there for Coach of the Year. He's been doing phenomenal. And you have this is a staggering stat in itself. 2.25 knockouts per fight is the average out of anybody in any weight class, living up to the nickname. How's your year been? I know it's been a tough year for you, but I'm not even going to say it. I'm going to let you say it. How's your year been so far?
Pretty like non-eventful besides me getting sick, almost dying. COVID kicked off. I had to go back home to my family with my daughter just because I didn't want shit to get crazy here in Dallas, and stayed there for about a couple months, came back, got matched up with Neal, and then got sick like 3 weeks before the fight. So I had to sideline myself for about 2 months. But now I'm back in it, getting ready for Wonder Boy in 19 days, main event. So couldn't be better.
Yeah, you deserve it, man. That's a big fight, huge opportunity, especially getting to fill in for the main event spot, just like Neal Magny was talking about. So I have to emphasize the first and last names because the Neals are kind of getting lost in the shuffle.
Right.
But I got to ask about – so I've read the articles, I've heard the rumblings, but I want to hear it from the man himself. How did this whole thing with you getting – you became septic. Now, was this because of COVID? Like, how did this whole thing transpire?
I had COVID about 2 months before I got really sick and went septic. Long story short, with the sepsis, pretty much it was just like an unknown infection inside my bloodstream. I got tested for COVID like 6 times during that whole period, and it all came back negative each time. So the doctors really don't know what caused it. I think it either had to be a meningitis or an abscessed tooth. Once I got out of the hospital, I got 2 teeth pulled in the back, just in case that was the reason. I don't know if it was the reason, but I was just trying to make sure I covered all my bases so that shit don't happen again.
And this wasn't COVID related, and the two weren't linked.
They weren't linked. I mean, they might have been linked. Like, who knows? Yeah. COVID's like a new thing, so it might have had something to do with it. Who knows?
Yeah, well, once you face death, I'm sure fighting becomes that much less stressstressful. So I'm glad to see you're in good health. Contrary to how you feel about me, I'm excited to see you compete on the 19th, man. It's you're on the rise, man. I've been watching it for a long time.
I like you, Mike. I feel like I had to talk shit to get a fight.
I feel it, man. I feel it.
See, you guys are just awesome dudes, and this is just part of the fight game, and I knew it. I knew I could bring 3 ranked welterweights on the show, and y'all would just be amazing together. Geoff, I want to talk a little bit about your fight. Now, you had a rough year. This is your first fight of 2020. You look super jacked. Are you ready? Have you done anything different in your training to prepare for this fight?
Nothing as far as my training. The only thing that's different is the way my training partners spar me. But besides that, I'm ready. My cardio is back up to where it used to be. You know what I mean? I'm back outside running for an hour, 8 miles and stuff like that. So I really feel like I'm ready. And it's 5 rounds too. I've been training for 5 rounds. Like every time I'm in camp, we always train for 5 rounds. So it's 5 rounds. It's nothing to me. And that's more time for me to figure Wonder Boy out and look for the finish.
Okay. Now, Uriah, you are a training partner with Geoff, right?
Hmm?
Okay. So what are your thoughts?
What?
What are your thoughts? Where's Geoff at? What do you think?
Thoughts, man?
Geoff Neal, hands of stone steel.
Oh, you said it too. You said it too. It's not just me.
That's too many freaking nicknames, bro.
I screwed that up, man. It's hands of steel, man. Fuck.
No, Geoff is a real deal, though. What I love about Geoff is he has this amazing ability to switch his style. It's almost like when you figure him out, he changes it up. And I don't know if he's aware of this or that's just his body mechanics behind it. He's just so good at it. And, you know, he rolls with like the welterweight. He rolls with me. He rolls with like Ryan Spann, which is like a 205er. So he has this amazing way of just switching his style. And, you know, you figure him out, you're like, all right, he's doing this, and he just changes it. So he's constantly elevating. But, man, his camp has been amazing. I'm sure he has a great story, you know, what happened to him in the beginning. And for him to stick it through and, of course, still pushing, he's the man. I'm honored to train with him.
Geoff, I don't know if you caught this, but when I did my segment with Uriah, Fight or Die, I asked him, like, who's a fighter to watch out for? And he said Geoff Neal for sure.
Geoff Neal.
Oh, man.
Everybody's saying that. Everybody's talking about Geoff Neal. This is the guy to watch. Everybody's saying it.
7-fight win streak. I mean, that is insane. That is insane. All right, Geoff.
Work ethic, man. Sickening.
Geoff, give us your highs and lows of 2020.
The lows would probably be just getting sepsis. That was probably one of the worst feelings I had in my life. Like, I legit felt like I was about to die. I would not, like, I tell people all the time, I would not wish that on like my worst enemy. Like, I was going through torture. But the highs, it had to be like I got forced to take a break because I got a problem. I got to work out. I never stop and take a break. But with everything that happened this year, it forced me to get off my feet and just chill and relax and recover.
You're one of the few. What's that?
I said then getting the Wonder Boy fight. That's another high.
Yes.
Yeah.
You are one of the few fighters that I've interviewed that has a job in addition to fighting. You're a bartender.
Yeah, bartender, server.
I
alternate
love
between the
that.
two.
I mean,
Yeah.
so humble, so hardworking, so disciplined. I knew I could count on you. I knew I didn't have to remind you. You were probably like, I'm like, okay, Jeff's got it. He'll be there, you know?
Don't let that fool you. I do it for the women. I got beautiful women that I work with. Don't let it fool you.
Hell yeah.
But no,
All right. Yeah. Mikey, take us into Josh Emmett's 2020.
Oh, man, Josh Emmett. Well, right off the top of my head, he's number 7 ranked featherweight. He doesn't have a nickname, so if we want to get creative, we can come up with something here. Fighting out Team Alpha Male in Sacramento, California, under the tutelage of Uriah Faber, Danny Castillo, his stablemates. You're talking about Cody Nola, Andre Feely. The list goes on and on. Tons of prospects. Songy Dong's there. That guy's super, super tough. He's got a record of 16-2, 3-fight win streak, 1 fight in 2020, which was the fight of the night against Shane Burgos, where this guy freaking torches his knee less than a minute into the fight, still gets the win. I saw him right after. His leg looked like a humongous white kielbasa. I mean, this leg was just like massive, bro. It was humongous. But he's on a 3-fight win streak. Ranked number 3 in the UFC's Fight of the Night power rankings out of 35. Josh Emmett, the man. How you doing, brother?
Doing good. Good introduction, but it was 15 seconds into the first round.
Woo! Damn, shit. I'm fucking up my intros left and right, but yeah, man, that was impressive stuff, and the way you've been able to battle back. I mean, you've been progressing very well in your recovery. It's obviously Heather Linden taking great care of you down at the PI. You know, give us an update on how the leg's feeling, and you know, how's everything going along with that?
Yeah, as far as the leg, it's you know, I tore my ACL and had some other things go on in the Burgos fight, and then everything was going really well, and then I want to say, but just my knee's been bothering me for quite a while, like 3-month marker, 2.5 to 3-month marker. I've just had tons of pain in the actual patella. So I got an MRI maybe about 4.5 weeks ago. And then I've been doing PRP shots in there. And then the reason I have so much pain is because where they took the harvest site, actually, the bone isn't healing. So I still have a fracture in my patella. And then also my patella tendon is torn. So I've just been waiting on the insurance from the UFC to, you know, cover the next treatment. And I think I'm going to do some stem cells. So that's not looking fun. They're going to go in and drill into my SI joints and then take the bone marrow out. And then they'll snip PRP and then they'll inject it into the tendon and the bone. So hopefully the UFC will pay for them to sedate me. Otherwise I'll have to be awake during all this.
Yeah, it's no joke. I had they did the same thing for me for my shoulder. They went in my SI joint, laid me down on my belly. Yeah, freaking basically stick a needle in your ass and
drill right through your. Yeah, I'm like, the way it sounds, I'm like, man, I'm not looking forward to this. But if it's gonna, you know, help heal and it's just gonna be part of the process, then of course I'm gonna do it. But
yeah, less invasiveness, the better. You know what I mean? They give you a couple injections. It's going to suck, but dude, I'm telling you, man, it's like within a couple weeks, you're like, I had it done in my right labrum. My arm was just dangling. And dude, within 2 weeks, I was like, whew, you know, so I think that's a smart move. It'll be a process, but I'm sure it'll get you taken care of.
Back on the crutches and yeah, it'll all work out for the best. So
for sure.
So there's no end in sight so far, huh, Josh?
No, not yet. Not yet. I feel like 2020 has been a roller coaster ride, you know, but like Neal said too, it's I am grateful though that I got to fight, you know, like I had one opportunity, I got to fight, and that's going to obviously set me up for the year. So, you know, a lot of people are having such a difficult time, and a lot of business owners are, you know, losing their business and all these other things with the pandemic. So, you know, I can't really complain. I would have liked to have a lot more opportunities if I didn't hurt my knee. You know, I would have just tried to string as many fights as possible together. I would have jumped up weight classes, done anything, you know, but it is what it is. And I just got to trust the process.
You are known for being quite deadly within your division, you know, so I have no doubt that you would have definitely like rose the ranks this year if you could have. But you know what? There's still 2021. Get your recovery on course, and I think we're going to be seeing a lot more of you.
Yeah, plan. So hopefully I'll come back May or June next year. You know, at the earliest, it's just kind of, you know, I've set that in my mind. I'm like, I'm fighting in May or June, but then again, I do just have to kind of listen to my body and see how the rest of the healing process goes. And, you know, I don't want to jump in too soon and take a chance of re-injuring this, because this is, you know, I've had a lot of injuries, a lot of surgeries, but this is definitely on top of the list. You know, one of the most painful and most difficult injuries I've, you know, sustained. But I will be back in 2021, and yeah, I'm looking forward to it.
Okay, so highs and lows.
Yeah, probably highs would be, you know, just obviously fighting, getting a win. Low would be, you know, obviously the ACL injury. Had another injury earlier in the year, and then yeah, it's just been kind of a shitty year. You know, I had some family things go on that were pretty horrible, but you know, it'll be better next year.
Okay. It'll be better. I mean, you are ranked number 3 in the UFC's Fight of the Night power rankings, as Mikey mentioned, which, you know, that's huge. That's out of 25. And to make that list and be number 3, I think is very impressive. So, okay. Now, I already know Mr. Uriah Hall.
Oh, man. The main
much
event.
to say.
The main event.
Take it away, Mikey.
Event. Oh, man.
Fighting out of
Coming in UFC's 9th ranked middleweight, the human highlight reel, the Count of Manifesto, the King of Sting, Uriah Primetime Hall, fighting out of Dallas, Texas, formerly from New York. You were a Tiger Schulman's guy before, weren't you?
Don't mention that name. That gym is
okay.
trash.
Okay, my bad. I'm just trying to trace your lineage through the sport.
Yeah.
Record of 16-9. You're on a 3-fight win streak. You're coming off that huge win over
20-9, but 20-9. Sorry.
20-9. My bad. Yeah. See, the Ultimate Fighter fights aren't on there. I've never understood that. Our fights from Tough should be on our record. You know what I'm saying?
Hey, I put it on there.
Yeah. You know what? This guy's 20-9. 3-fight win streak. Got to fight Anderson Silva, which is a fight that the fans have been clamoring for since you first landed that spin kick against Adam Sella, right? That's the guy you torched. You sparked that guy on Ultimate Fighter. Yeah. So, guys, how you doing? Uriah, you get to fight Chris Weidman. Get to avenge a loss from early in your career. How do you feel about it?
Man, I'm excited about this. First of all, this is the first guy to ever beat me. So I'm looking to demolish this person. That's my mentality. I was telling my coach what I'm going to do. He's like, calm down, you fucking maniac. No, we're not doing it. I'm like, no. This is what we're doing. But I'm excited about it. I was young in my career. There's no excuse. He caught me. I do remember when I was that young, someone telling me, hey, you know, he's a wrestler. And that was my first encounter with fear, because I was just knocking everybody out. I'm like, I don't care who you are, anywhere, anytime, any place. And this all-American douchebag just kept saying, this guy's a wrestler. And then one day it got in my head. I'm like, oh my God, what if I get taken down? And then I was so keen in on his takedown that I forgot that I was an elite striker, and I got caught. I don't think I was out. I mean, it felt like it was going on for 15 seconds. It looked like it was 30. But, you know, he got me that night, and I dedicated myself to put myself through some grueling training to understand wrestling, because I hate wrestling. I'm like, dude, we're here to fight. Why are we hugging each other? But I get it. So I went to a wrestling gym. I dedicated myself to step inside with some maniacs, and I feel comfortable. I'm not the best wrestler, but I'm going with you. I'm not the best grappler, but I'm going with you. I do feel like I can outstrike you, though.
Hey, your grappling has grown leaps and bounds. If you remember when we met, it was prior to the Ultimate Fighter.
Yeah, I remember
we fought
that.
The finals, we rolled.
We met.
And then that was when I met you, and I was like afraid. They're like, you kind of like didn't have any guys. So when I met Uriah Hall, we're up in the training room. My teammate fought on the Ultimate Fighter finale he was on, and he's just like pacing around the workout room, and I'm kind of noticing like he looks like he's waiting for somebody. So I'm like, I'm pretty intimidated by this guy. He's just highlight reeled a bunch of guys on Tough. He comes off very intimidating. I'm like, hey man, do you need someone to roll with or something? You're like, yeah, get down. I'm like, okay, all right.
Get out of here.
But ever since then, we've been boys. You're the man, Uriah, you know, and you did do the things to clear the holes in your game. You went down to Rain Training Center at the time was just a stable chuck full of tough wrestlers, spearheaded by Mark Munoz. And you really rounded off your game down there. And actually one of your most viral videos of you knocking someone out next to the Adam Sella knockout was when he spinning heel kicked that guy to the body in sparring. That was nasty.
Yeah.
That's all I got to say. Good to see you.
Good to see you too, brother.
Okay. Well, as you guys know, the listeners, the viewers, you guys here, Uriah and I are friends, but this is in fact the very first time that we are actually connecting for more than a few seconds since his fight against Anderson Silva. And so as your friend, as a journalist, as just an interested party, I really want to dissect the aftermath, because you came on the show and we talked about your thoughts beforehand and the importance of this fight to you and the importance of Anderson to you, you know, being an idol of yours and then having to fight him. There was so much psychological turmoil involved. It's not just a regular fight, which is already so much pressure, but this one was super meaningful. So now you fight, you get the win. It's emotional. I know you've taken your time just away from society to kind of wrap your head around everything that's transpired, and then Anderson having to, you know, retire as a result. I mean, there's like so much that went into it. So
oh, that's my cue.
That's your cue. I didn't want to lead you. I want you to just say whatever comes to mind.
I am so excited to fight Anderson Silva. It is the greatest feeling. No, first of all, leading up to that fight, you know, there's emotion because 8 years ago, I'm on my buddy's rooftop watching a fight saying, wow, this guy's amazing. And the words I used was, I would love to train with this individual. Never said fight, train. And people just kept, you know, saying we're relatable. I'm like, oh, really? But in my mind, I was just creative like that. Of course, I started to mimic some of his moves because we're very fluent with our body mechanics. And yeah, when the opportunity came, you know, it happened maybe 4 years ago, but he ended up having a gallbladder surgery or some kind of gallbladder injury issue 3 days prior to the fight. So that was postponed, and then it just happened, what, a month ago? And it didn't hit me, to be honest. It really didn't hit me. I remember leaving the hotel and I'm looking at my coach. I'm like, it didn't hit me yet. Like I felt like nothing happened. It's almost like, what happened? And I just remember the first couple of rounds, I was kind of like, oh my God, it's fucking Anderson Silva. Not to mention I wasn't warmed up properly because they kept coming backstage to do that bullshit warm up where you punch in front of the camera. So by round 3, I started to get my groove. But I just remember, like, it was the emotion of fuck is Anderson Silva, and it was fuck, I don't want to hurt him. You know, it was those two emotions. And I was like,
that's real.
And it made me timid. And what people don't know about Anderson, he is so creative. For the first 3 or 4 jabs that I threw, he moved so perfectly. I knew what he was going to do if I kept doing it. I was like, oh, shit, he's figuring me out already. Because that's how he knocked out Forrest Griffin, that little. So I felt it. I studied this guy. I know him. So I was like, all right, I got to be careful. And I just watched his body, how it was moving. And I was like, shit, I can't do that. I can't do that. I can't do that. And it was a great feeling. But it was a bittersweet because it sucked. It's kind of like beating up your dad. The cool thing that came out of it was, yeah, I know. The cool thing that came out of it, I hit him up afterwards and I was like, listen, I don't know if it's my place, but I've always wanted to train with you and I would love to get the opportunity. He was like, oh, of course, bro. You know, I'm in Brazil right now. I'm on vacation. When I come back, let's get it on. So I'm more excited about that than the fight because that was my initial goal. And I feel like that fight was my championship fight, you know, because that's the guy I looked at while he was a champ, even when he lost the belt, idolizing him, saying, that's the guy I want to beat. That's the guy I want to go up against. That's the guy who I'm like, oh. So when it happened, it was almost like I won the belt. Obviously not, because Izzy has it, and that's the dude I want to take out too. But, man, what an incredible feeling that I know no one will ever take away from me.
That was such a moment. And you guys got so emotional and, like, you know, behind the scenes. No, you can't say it like that, though. I mean, you guys, like, this is what I love to get into on the show is, you know, you're human above all. Just because you're fighters doesn't mean you guys are expected to be stoic and not feel. I think it's beautiful that you can actually express yourself outside of killing someone in the cage, you know? But I remember, you know, being really happy for you and then also being concerned for you because it's almost like a double-edged sword, right? Because, you know, you wanted that win so bad, but you took him out the game, you know, and he didn't just retire. He was actually released from the UFC.
Oh, damn. They did him like that.
They did him like that.
He had one fight left. He had one fight left and they snipped him.
Well, the thing was, Dana was mad at me for not beating him up, and then he was also mad at him for taking the fight. I'm like, motherfucker, you got to pick one. Like, what is wrong with this dude, man?
Facts.
Whose man is this? But whatever.
Whose man is it?
Whose man's?
Whose man is this?
Okay. All right.
You fucking show up. You fucking do your job. If you want to fucking, all right. You hang out with Dana, just hang on to a clicker. See how many fucks he said. I'm going to fucking kill you. I'm going to fucking fuck.
You're always talking about how many F words he drops. Like when you're backstage after the weigh-ins, when you're briefing for the next day, like, hey, remember we're on Fox tomorrow or we're on ESPN, there's no cursing. And literally every other word out of his mouth is F, 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 F.
Yo.
Like the only thing I can think of is the F word right now. I'm just like, remember tomorrow not to curse. Like, it throws me off every time.
You fucking come here, you fucking do your job, and don't fucking curse on Fox fucking network. We're like, okay.
Yeah.
That's so true.
Uriah, you had several fights get canceled this year leading up to this fight. So your 2020 is fairly interesting. What fights did you have scheduled and then get canceled?
So I had a fight with Jacare, who got pushed back. Then COVID happened. And then the Indian reservations were like, yeah, we ain't doing that. And then Disney apparently was owning everything. I didn't realize how Disney owns every fucking thing.
Oh, yeah. And Disney's got the UFC by the balls. Disney's the one calling the shots. It ain't ESPN. It's Disney.
It's not even ESPN.
Mickey Mouse and Donald Duck are fucking running the show, man. It's just a fact.
Anyways,
even Goofy's got a spot at the table. You know what I mean? Fuck.
All right. So he said they pushed it back. It didn't happen. Then it was Yoel. And then apparently Yoel had his period. He was like, listen, I can't fight this time of the month. I'm like, all right, no problem. And then,
man.
You know, with that mindset, I was like this. Because when COVID happened, all the gyms were shutting down. And, you know, I was going to fly back to Vegas. So I started, the moment COVID happened, this COVID guy, I went into Rocky mode. Like, I was waking up early. I couldn't find wood to chop, but I was running. I was shadowboxing. I ate some eggs. I ain't doing that shit again. But it was just a crazy mentality that I went into that Rocky mode. I was like, all right, I'm going to stay ready just in case. And then, of course, we orchestrated training properly. We're bringing certain people in. You know, we're training on the DL. And I had to move into the gym, which was a scary neighborhood, Deep Ellum. And it was just a clusterfuck. But the amazing thing I didn't quit. And I learned so much about myself, this so-called crazy 2020 everyone's complaining about. I'm like, what the fuck are you talking about? This is a blessing in disguise. I got rid of a lot of motherfuckers. I got to know me. I hung out with me. And I found all these 7 demons I had, and I had to give them nicknames. I was like, you're Luke, you're Perry, you're Dickhead, and you're Dum-Dum. And I gave them all instructions. And I was like, you stay, you got to pay rent. You need to get the fuck out, and why are you here? So I learned a lot of stuff from myself, and then I was forced to hang out with myself more, and that helped me to contribute to the rest of the world. So I just use this uncomfortable state of mind to better myself overall, and it feels pretty fucking damn good.
So it sounds like that would be your high for the year.
Yes.
Okay, and your low, if you had to pick one?
Me realizing that we're making stupid people famous.
No.
Deep.
That's a low.
Deep.
That's deep.
Low.
That's deep.
I mean, if you want to hear a funny story, I put a thing on my Instagram with Jake Paul. You remember that lady? Ain't nobody got time for that? So I cropped my face on that lady, which is the funniest shit I've ever seen. And she's like, ain't nobody got time for that, right? So I wrote, when Jake Paul calls out real fighters, ain't nobody got time for that. And of course, Numbnuts decided to reach out. He was like, what did he say? He's like, you hit your peak on Ultimate Fighter. You should stay off Instagram. And I'm like, okay, Eminem, tell them something they don't know about me. I'm like, bro, you're trash. But if you need to learn some fighting skills, come on down to Dallas. Like, I know what he's doing, but we're making fucking idiots famous. Like, how is this possible? Like, why is this even a
he's
conversation?
Not even that good.
Like, how
I
you fought
I
two
don't even hit
nobodies.
hard and I could have knocked
Here's
Nate
the thing.
Robinson out.
Here's the
Right?
thing. He
good at
fought
all.
two nobodies. He fought two nobodies. He's reaching out to a somebody being a nobody, you got to be a somebody to at least call out a somebody. You're a nobody. What the fuck did you
Uriah
do?
Hall math. I like it. I dig it.
Josh, what do you make of the matter?
I was saying if I know he's calling, I agree. He's calling out Conor McGregor. He fought a basketball player that was the worst boxing.
That doesn't know shit.
And I was saying, hey, I'll be his tune-up fight for Conor McGregor if he wants. I'll bump up a few weight classes. I guarantee he won't do that to me in a boxing ring. But
oh my God, I'll put my money on you, bro. My money on
you.
With one leg.
I'm so confident.
With
I'll fight
one leg,
with one
yeah.
hand.